All right, today we're jumping into one of the most incredible, high-stakes games being played in the digital world. We're talking about the art of becoming invisible in cyberspace.
I want you to imagine the most secure bank vault you can think of. Laser grids, pressure plates, the whole shebang. Now imagine a thief who can just waltz right through it all, like a ghost, without tripping a single alarm.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. And no, this isn't some movie plot. It is a very real, very sophisticated cat-and-mouse game that's happening right now. This constant battle between attackers and the very systems designed to stop them.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand the heist, we first need to understand the vault. And in our story, the vault is one seriously tough opponent.
It's called an EDR, which stands for Endpoint Detection and Response. You can think of it as this super advanced, super intelligent security guard for all our devices. Our computers, our servers, you name it, our endpoints. This isn't just a simple alarm. It's on duty, 24/7, watching, learning, and ready to shut down threats instantly.
So how does it work? Well, at its core, an EDR basically follows a four-step process. First, it just collects mountains of data. They call it telemetry, from literally everything happening on a device. Then it starts hunting through all that data for suspicious patterns. If it finds something, it gives it a risk score. And if that score gets high enough, bam, it takes action and neutralizes the threat.
So, if you're the ghost, how in the world do you get past this high-tech sentry? Well, the first move, it has to be the quietest. The initial break-in has to look like nothing is happening at all.
A lot of times, the attack starts with something that seems totally benign. An email attachment, maybe an Excel add-in file that gets past all the initial filters because, hey, on the surface, it's just a document. This is the attacker's payload, and it's built to fly completely under the radar.
But hold on, that brings up a really good question, right? We assume these powerful scanners are supposed to catch everything. So why would a brand new, malicious file just get a pass?
Well, here's the catch, and it's a crucial one. The reality is, new files are being created constantly on our systems, all the time. If an EDR threw up a red flag for every single one, security teams would just be drowning in false alarms. It would be total chaos.
And you can see it right here. Look at this virus total scan. This shows a known threat getting flagged by dozens of security vendors because they all recognize its signature. But a custom-built payload, it doesn't have a known signature. To the EDR, it's just an unknown traveler, not a known criminal. It's a ghost. Okay, so let's move to the next phase. Our attacker is in. Now what? Well, now they need to set up shop without getting caught. They have to truly become a ghost in the machine.
One of the classic ways to do this is a technique called service hijacking. So normally, a legitimate Windows service is pointed to the right file in the registry. An attacker can just sneak in, edit that one little entry, and redirect it to their own malware. So the next time the computer starts up, the operating system itself actually launches the attacker's code.
And of course, that's just one tool in the toolkit. Attackers can use something called parent process spoofing to make their malware look like it was launched by a program you trust, like your web browser. Or they can use process doppelganging to basically create a twin of a normal process that completely fools scanners about what's really running. They can even use something called environmental keying, where the malware is encrypted and can only be unlocked on one specific target computer, which makes it totally useless if a security researcher tries to analyze it.
So, our ghost is in, and they have a way to stick around. Now it's time to move through the hallways to find the valuables, all while dodging that laser grid of the EDR's active sensors.
So what's the crown jewel, the main vault in this heist? It's almost always a core Windows process called lsas.exe. And why is that? Because it's the process that handles user authentication. Inside its memory are the credentials, the literal keys to the entire kingdom.
Now, as you can imagine, EDRs guard this thing like a fortress. They are scrutinizing any attempt to access it. They're checking who's asking and what level of access they want. A request for total control? Yeah, that's a massive red flag.
So how does the attacker get around this? Honestly, it's brilliant. Instead of asking for a new key to the vault, which would set off all the alarms, the attacker just finds a legitimate process that already has a key. And then they simply duplicate that existing key for themselves. They're not creating a new request, they're just copying an approved one. The security guard sees absolutely nothing suspicious.
And that brings us to the grand finale. With the keys to the kingdom now in hand, the prize can be stolen, and our ghost needs to make a clean, silent getaway.
At this point, the attacker can access the target data. They package it up and send it right out of the network. But here's the trick. They disguise it as normal encrypted web traffic. To the EDR, to all of the other defenses, it just looks like an employee browsing a secure website.
And this just shows you the incredible level of subtlety we're talking about here. Defenders are literally looking for microscopic anomalies. For instance, one study found that only 0.04% of processes showed one specific unusual behavior. That's the tiny, tiny needle in the haystack that attackers have to operate in to stay invisible.
You know, when you see all of this, it can't help but make you ask a really big question. If even the most sophisticated, intelligent security systems can be methodically taken apart like this, what does the word secure even mean anymore?
But here's the most important part. This knowledge isn't just for attackers. Actually, it's the exact opposite. This is absolutely crucial for defenders. If you want to build a better vault, you have to understand how a thief thinks. Knowing the offense is, without a doubt, the best defense.
And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from the CSO of Palantir really drives the point home. He calls this kind of knowledge, quote, mandatory reading for network defenders. It's not about admiring the problem. It's about learning from it so we can build stronger, more resilient systems. In the end, that's really the key takeaway here. This is a perpetual, evolving cat and mouse game. Every time a new defense is built, a new evasion is being engineered. And that, in turn, forces the defenders to get even smarter. The game just never, ever ends.